Yo, yo. What is up, everybody? OCD Mikey Hi-Fi Guy here. Another show going down. I am late, whatever, a couple minutes. The connectivity was, I had to reset my router before I got on. Let me turn this a little bit now. Let's see a little more like that. There we go. Okay, cool. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the live Mikey show. Got out for the first ride this year just earlier today. Took the Road King out. The Ducati just got a new clutch. I put on a dry clutch. It didn't need a clutch. I spent a lot of money to have a cool clutch put on. Look at that. I'm even representing. We've been having uncommonly warm weather here in Atlanta. It was like 70 degrees today in January. Pretty crazy. So it was awesome. Got out there. Maurice, you were first this time, buddy. And Arun was second. Checking in from Houston. What's up? Philo. Hello to all. Hello. Yes, I was. Hey, Mikey. Hey, guys. Hey, Nick. How are you, buddy? Good to see you. Hey, y'all. Seattle check in. What is up? What's up, Rev? So welcome everybody to chalk in the what title tonight, or the discussion tonight is: just because the gear is expensive does not mean that it sounds good. That is the topic for a conversation. We could talk about whatever we want, but that's the topic that I chose for tonight, because I was having a conversation with somebody earlier today, and they were talking about buying used gear. They were looking at trying to get some used gear, and I found some money. Found some cash money. 23 bucks. Wow. I remember one time finding 150 or 200 bucks in one of my suit coat pockets back when I had to wear a sport coat for. Actually, I didn't really ever wear a sport coat that much. I did interviewing people, but I think I stashed it at one point, and then I found it, and it was like I was stoked. It was a huge thing. Like, oh my God, $150. That's so awesome. Um, anyways, so I was talking to today, and they were talking about getting some used gear, and some of the funniest, or not, just most peculiar things about the used market is how people love to sell is, well, it retail, it was, $150,000, and we're willing to sell for 15 grand. It's like, if it's that big of a difference, look, there's, you might want to ask yourself why did it go from that to that. um Somebody found something used nearby. It's somebody that bought something from me. He bought a playback design streamer and DAC, and he wants me to check out some used speakers. There's monster gigantic speakers that are 600 pounds each, that are used and older, and but he can get them for a really good price. So it may be a good deal for him. But typically speakers are not something that I really want to go with. Older amps, fine. Older DACs are fine. Older speakers, though, the surrounds get worn out, and it's a mechanical device. It moves, so it wears out. You like my guitar? This is my guitar hand with the fingernails. This one's the fretboard hand. And just because something was expensive in its day, or expensive now, and it's some great a lot of money off, does not mean that it sounds great. It doesn't mean it was ever great. And I talked about this a little bit with him today, which is that sometimes the most well marketed stuff, there's a reason why they had to market it like that. There's a reason There's a reason for that, you know? Like Playback Designs doesn't do any advertising. They don't do any reviews. Same with Jeff Rowland. No reviews, no interviews, none of that. He's never trying to promote. He doesn't need to. And but then there's other companies like, you know, the Chinese companies or whatever that will just like you'll see them in every advertisement everywhere pushing the product, pushing the product, pushing the product, you know? Um so I did tell him, and I'll go into that. I just saw that one. Asshole wrenches. That was really funny. Um, Good evening, tribe. Mark and Myrtle. Harvard the dog. Hey, Mikey, what's up? Harvard. Good to see you. Diamond studded Bose 901, expensive but crap. Exactly. There's stuff out there like that, you know, and it's not really about sometimes the sound. It's just about the look or and I was talking to him or sometimes it's just um you know, bragging rights, you know, and sometimes people will want to, you know, it's like to get something that is really, you know, so flamboyant, you know, and typically would be totally out of their range if it was retail price, right? And even if it was half price, it might be out of their range, but to get it it's such a steal, you know, they just can't they want the panache. It's like finding the Ferrari that's $80,000, right? You can get Ferraris, you can find Ferraris, some of them, you know, for less, for 60, you know? But is that the Ferrari that you want to have? I mean, once you get it, you're going to wake up to what it's like. There's a reason why it's 60 grand or 80 grand, and that's because it needs a transaxle and you don't know about it. You know, it needs a something that's going to be 50 grand, you know, and you learn the hard way. However, when you buy new things, yeah, it costs more, but you can buy things that are priced well and buy them new, get full warranty, full service, return policy, all that stuff, you know, which is pretty tough to compete. And it's just you're just one of the two. You're either the 80,000 Ferrari buyer or you're not. You're the guy that buys, you know, maybe you don't get the brand new Ferrari, but you get a brand new C8 Corvette and you just rather have it because it's brand new and it's got warranty and all that kind of stuff. Like for instance, for me, I will not buy a car anymore that doesn't have warranty. Um, I just won't. I guess if I bought some sports car thing, maybe if it was like depending, but typically I'm not going to buy a car like any of my main drivers things that it has to have a warranty. I'm not going to go buy something out of warranty because they just take repair. That's all there is to it. I bought my Volvo 2 years ago. No, 1 year, 1 year ago, 1 year ago, 1 year ago. And I bought the extra warranty. I loaded it with a warranty. I got 100,000 mile, 10-year unlimited. Um, Wait, it's unlimited 10-year warranty, isn't it? That's right. Cause I could put as many miles as I wanted on it. It's 10-year unlimited. And I've already had front rotors done. I know Volvos are notorious if you that their front rotors heat up and they warp, and you can feel it in the brake pedal. And some people might be okay with hitting a brake pedal and feeling pulsing in the brake pedal. I'm not. I don't want any movement in the steering wheel. I don't want anything when I hit that brake, especially if I'm at like 80 miles an hour and I have to hit a brake. You know, that's typically when you feel warped rotors. And they already replaced rotors and pads for me, which is probably about an $800 or $900 job. And I knew it going in. I knew it going in. I knew that Volvo had this issue. So I had to pay. Actually, I bought the warranty, and then I had to pay an extra 1,500 or something like that. The brake rotors, you know, because I knew. I said, "What about brakes?" Well, those are not covered. That's an extra rider or what? That's an extra thing. I got it, and I've already and it's almost already paid for itself back. So, you know, you're one of the two. You either take the risk and you go for used stuff, or you buy, or you're just a new buyer and you buy with warranty. Asshole wrenches. That was so funny. Oh my God. We were watching this OMA video the other day. Rev sent me a video of Oswald Mill audio or whatever. And the guy's talking about reinventing the vinyl lathe or some shit like that nonsense. And I thought it was so funny how I had to take a stab. I said, "Well, what's next? Reinventing the incandescent light bulb?" It's like, dude, what, this is supposed to be important, like with your life's career, you're going to reinvent a vinyl lathe? I mean, I guess at that point you just know the dude doesn't have to work. He doesn't need any money. He's just freaking wasting time cuz he can, cuz what an empty thing to do, I mean, it's just for ego to do something like that, in my opinion. It's definitely not a moneymaker. So that's cool. God bless him. But it's like such an antiquated. I don't know why people sometimes are so committed to the past, you know, um, to make it's the thing. And so someone wrote a comment in Russian, and then when you translated it to English, it said asshole wrenches. I was like, what the hell is asshole wrenches? I have no idea, but it's hilarious that that's the guy's comment to the video is asshole wrenches. Maybe he's talking about it's like something that's completely obsolete and stupid, asshole wrenches, and that's what the guy's inventing, asshole wrenches. But it was really funny. Uh, Evening from a very rainy Northwest. Appreciate you doing this, Mikey. You bet, Tommy. Appreciate you watching. Hey, Tommy from Rev up in Seattle. Did I tell my friend to just buy some Fisher and Fisher? I did, but he's like, he wants to get more than than is he can't help but um want the deal that's too good to be true. You know what I mean? He wants these speakers that I think are like they're kind of they're long in the tooth, but I think in the day they were 80 grand or something like that. And they're being sold for 20. They're Evolution acoustics, but like nobody wants to buy those speakers for some reason. I mean, they sit on the market and they don't sell and they don't sell and they don't sell. And I don't think they're bad speakers. I mean, I've heard them at the shows and I thought they were okay. Um, they remind me of Dunleavy, and I think Dunleavy's probably a better speaker. But again, these are behemoth speakers. Dunleavy's even larger, giant 15-inch, dual 15-inch subs. The whole thing's a giant MTM, right? It's like a mirror. They've got a tweeter in the middle, and then everything up above the tweeter is the same as everything below the tweeter. One of those designs. um and then they've got adjustability and all this stuff for the mids and the highs and all that kind of stuff, which to me, um it just kind of says, look, you can look at it two ways. You can say, oh, it's got adjustability, so you can, everybody's room is different, so you can adjust the levels of that. You can basically, it's like, it's not EQing, but it's just you can adjust the gains on the different, tweeters or whatever. Or you can look at it and say they couldn't even come up with a strong enough design to commit to something, so they gave the user full flexibility and just said, you figure it out. Like, we're not figuring it out, you figure it out. And they just throw it in your lap to figure out the adjustments. So there's two ways to look at fully adjustable things. One, adjustability, and the other way is its lack of commitment to a certain design, to a certain um, design, I guess. So yeah, so I did, but the Fisher and Fisher that I can sell him for 22 grand are the 470s, and the thing that he's looking at buying, has dual 15s, and then dual whatever, like sevens or something like that, and then like a ribbon in the middle or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but so he can't help but want a bigger speaker for the money, So he's looking at used older stuff, so he can get a bigger, and off brands, brands that don't have um, the highest resale. Now, it doesn't mean it's not a great speaker, and it's not, and it couldn't be a great deal, but it's like, it's like It's like buying. I mean, I can think of it too. I was looking at houses, while for the last 30 days, I've been looking at getting a second house, and you see some of these that may need rehab, right? And you're like, holy shit, look at that price. Like everything else in this neighborhood is up here, and this house is down here. It just needs a little work, but let me go look. And I looked at this one, and I was like, I couldn't believe how bad the shape of this place was. I'm like, how do places even get this bad? Like, I didn't even know it was possible that they got this bad. Like, you got to just bulldoze this thing. Like, there's no coming back from this. It's way too far gone. And I'm not saying it's the same with speakers or audio, but when they're less than the others, you get tempted because you're like, ooh, I can get this for so little. There's a freaking reason, and there's a reason why they're not selling. When houses are sitting on the MLM, thing, the listing or Zillow or whatever, and they're there for over 200 day or over 100 days, there's there's a reason why that shit has not been scooped up. You're not like the brilliant guy that found it and is going to get this great thing that nobody else knows about, right? Everybody else has turned it down for a certain reason. There's a reason why nobody's picked up that house that looks like you could flip it. And I went to the place and I was like, Jesus, like you got to mow this place. Like you can't, there's no coming back. It was the grossest, most nasty, weirdest thing too. The weirdest thing was it was like a foreclosure. So it was like whoever had lived there had clearly died. And it was like old people shit in there, and all the shit was still in there. It was piled up on the floor. The bookshelves still had like books and little tchotchkes and shit in the little hutch. And then you go in the bedroom and it was like the just the raw mattress and shit sitting there and like piled up with crap, and it smelled like someone had just pissed all over the place, and it was musty and just gross and dirty, and there were cobwebs everywhere. I was just like, it was a nightmare in there. I couldn't even believe it. And of course, on the listing, they don't show the inside of that place. They just show the outside. They try and make it look like it's a good investment. And you get there and you're like, dude, this is toxic in here. Like, and ugh, horrible. So, anyways, off topic, sorry, but how's the gut fiddle? Oh, the git fiddle coming, Mikey. Nick, I've been traveling and I haven't been committed to it. So I could have brought my guitar if I was really committed. I would have brought the guitar and put it in the back of the Volvo when we went. We were just up in Chattanooga day before yesterday. Um, and Chattanooga is an hour and a half away from me, so it is a quick trip, and it's a different world up there, man. Like it is totally different, and it's really close to the mountains, and it's a great getaway, and it's an hour and a half. So I like to go up there. Plus, I'm looking for a mountain property. I'm looking for something up there. Looking for something where we could have motorcycles and quads and like acreage and shit like that. And so we bolted, but I didn't take my guitar with me. Um, I just need to get committed, dude. That's all. I just need to go, have my plan just every day, have a time of day I where I work on it. That's all. That's all. And I'm more that amp is sick, bro. The amp is sick, and I've got it hooked up to a cab now. I got a 74 Marshall 412s with greenbacks, and Jesus, dude, I turned it up and I felt like I have a weapon in my hand. I don't know anybody that you've ever played electric guitar on a wicked amplifier like a Marshall. Um but dude, 100-watt Marshall head and this 412, dude, I turned it up and it was like, yeah, it was like, and I wasn't even playing anything, dude. It was just like, but it was just so powerful that I was like, the only other thing that I can say was similar to me feeling like I had something in my hand that powerful is having a gun or a Ducati throttle. Those are the only two things that I can equivocate to having so much power in my hand and controlling the power like that. It's just insanity. So I got a acoustic to learn first on the acoustic, and then I'll play on the electric too. But something about the acoustics just kind of special. I found an MSB Select with a digital director for 45K used. It sounded amazing though. Yeah, well, not as amazing as the playback designs. In which case for 45K you could get a playback designs MPD8, you could get the streamer, you get an MPD8 AI and the MPSX streamer for less than that. Um, so yeah, and and that's what people go for. They go for the price. They go for the price, and then you end up with a hodgepodge audio system. You end up with an audio system that's a bunch of good deals that you got, and it's not even necessarily the things that match, but it's things that were good deals. And just like you're saying here, people think that because they're finding something that was really expensive, and they get it for a little bit, that they're getting a deal. And it's like, no, man, there's you could be getting something. There are things out there that are $100,000 that don't sound good, and I know it's hard to imagine because there's very few like cars, for instance, that you get for $100,000 that if you that aren't good cars, right? They're all going to be pretty freaking good cars for 100 grand, right? Um, but you can actually get audio stuff that is 100 grand that kind of blows, that's really not that good sounding. And a lot of times they're the ones that put the advertising in the magazines and are pimped. So hey peeps, it's been a while. Yeah, man, welcome. Welcome. Hey Rev, what's up? Hey Mikey, have you tried Playback Designs MPD8 with active speakers? No, I haven't. I don't think I have. Um, most of the active speakers that I've played around with have been active speakers that have DACs in them, and I've only played with a couple, and I'm not really into active speakers. I think eventually they'll get it right, and again, I'm being a picky audiophile, really picky guy. For most people, an active speaker would be just great, it would sound great. But there's a difference between, something sounding great and something, let me see here, Dale. Hey, Dale.
Hey, what you doing?
I'm doing a live stream, brother. Do you want to be on the live stream?
No, I just called to wish you a happy New Year.
Oh, okay. Okay. Cool, man. Well, I'll holler after the live stream.
That's fine. That's cool.
Okay.
Everybody says the text Happy New Year. That's a cop out. You need to talk to your friends.
You need to do what?
You need to talk to your friends, not just text them.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Texting is a cop out.
I hear you. Yeah, it's the thing of the moment, though. Everybody just texts.
It's lazy. It's lazy.
It is. It is.
Yeah. Anyway, I won't hold you up. Go ahead.
Okay, my brother.
Okay,
Talk to you soon, man. Okay, see you.
Yeah.
Bye. That's Dale, man. Dale's a good customer from Texas, and he's a doctor, and he was one of the first guys to give me like a $6,000 order with my power cords when I had my power cords, and when I was doing the foil power cords. And so it was he was really cool, man. I was like, man, here's a guy who totally believes in me. It was before he hadn't heard them, but he had heard about them, and here he has given me $6,500 at the time, which was huge, for whatever it was, 3 power cords or something like that, in the silver. I dialed it. They were all the top of the line power cords, and at the time, man, that was some cheese, baby. I was like, wow, this guy's really cool. And and I remember my clients looking back at the people that really trusted me and have put their faith in me and sent me good amounts of money, because they believe in me. and I never forget them. Look at this. I got this the other day. It's, fiber. It's like what do they call that? Not bonded carbon fiber, but damn it, I can't remember the name for this kind of carbon fiber. Who can tell me? Somebody's got it. This thing was made. I think it's made in Romania or something like that. Eotech. Anybody know? Eotech. But super cool. I like the Tanto blades because they're great for puncturing, opening boxes, and so forth. But killer blade. Anyways, and stealthy and clean design, like total clean design. Fits right away. Still doesn't replace. I still my daily carry is the Benchmade, which is a little larger version. But I like knives. I don't totally get into collecting them, but I do like knives. Hey, Stereo, what is up? Good to see you. Yo, Mikey and Tribe, what's up? Norris, the Nori. You know, I probably told you that I grew up with a guy, Mike Norris. He was a good guy. 812. What is that? What is 812? Is that a Ferrari? Are we talking about an 812? That's a sick car, by the way, if you've got an 812, bro. Great taste. Hey, Nick, you change your name? Nick P333 333. Is this gay meaning chat? They said not. Absolutely, it is. You got it. Guilty as charged. Yes, come on, bring it, girl. Stereo, nope. YouTube made us change our names, but mine is still a bit recognizable. There you go. Good to see you as well. Right on. What's up, Mikey and Tribe? What's up, Andy, the horse trainer in Iowa? Dude, how's the snow up there, brother? And they killed some chick in Minnesota today, didn't they? She got smoked. She got iced. She got iced. What's up, Mikey and Tribe? Bad buddy. We're good, man. Tell us how things are in Iowa. No one should be having a good time until I show up. Howdy, Tribe. What's up, Charles? Charles, the movie writer. Charles, the screenwriter. Are you a playwright? Since it's gay hour, maybe you're a playwright. You know. Oh no, OMA and his lathe. Yeah, I had an LL moment from that one too. Yes. I don't even know. Whatever. Everybody's got their own thing, you know. But it's fun to kind of have fun, you know. Poke. And you're a guy. Yeah, exactly. My new audio research Ref 6 is a pain in the ass to find the proper power cable. One is too bright, the other too warm. Oh man, your Ref 6 SE, man. Somebody told me anybody wants to buy a Ref 6 SE, the guy that I was just talking about, the speaker, okay, that wants me to go check out the speakers, is selling his Ref 6 SE. He doesn't like it. It went back. It had problems right off the cuff when he got it. It was brand new and it had problems. He sent it back to audio research. It's been this issue for like the last 4 months or something like that. But he's going to have it back all fresh and new from the factory, and he's not even going to open it up. He's going to sell it. So if anybody wants a Ref 6 SE, it is for sale. So now to find the proper cable, one is too bright, the other too warm. So that's unfortunate, okay, because what it tells me, what this statement right here tells me, is that line stage is beheld to its power cord. That means it cannot stand on its own 2 feet. Have you tried the stock power cable? Maybe that's what it needs, you know? But then, yeah, you get into power cords, and power cords absolutely change the sound. And the power cord designers have to decide, am I going to make something dead nuts neutral, which is like what I did, or am I going to make something hyper detailed, or am I going to make something all musical and soft like Shunyata or something like that? Or what's the other one, that Stealth or whatever, that are just kind of darker sounding cables, you know? It's better to make a darker sounding cable because most systems are too bright to begin with. So you can tame them out by using darker cables. So I'm sorry to hear about that. Uh, Maybe you need to try. I would say try a Veristar cable, but I don't have them right now. They're coming right up. MPD8 and ATC, whatever they are. Okay, cool, buddy. Rock on, man. He's got it. Joey, you back in the saddle, buddy? Welcome home. Hey, you were right. I mixed up Fisher and Fisher with another brand. Never heard it. It seems good. Filter quality parts inside. Yes, right. If you were the guy that the other night was like, "Oh, yeah, Fisher and Fisher's nothing," I'm like, "You've never heard it because it definitely isn't nothing. It is like it's the best speaker I've heard. Period." The only thing that I liked as much in a box was Tad, but Tad is not as it's Tad is double the price for less, and I'm just going on Sonic. I'm not going on value because Fisher and Fisher is a way better value. If we're just talking about Sonic, but the Tad was sweeter, so the Tad is kind of colored sounding to me. It sweetens things, but that's kind of its charming thing about it. You know, it can take harsh sounding gear and it can tame it. You know, so it's kind of forgiving in that regard, and it always sells for half price because it's one of the most hoard brands there is around. Is Tad. Hey, Mikey. Clark checking in from Oahu. And yes, I do agree with you on the price of all your equipment these days. Definitely out of control. Very happy with my old Mark Levinson power amp and preamp. My equipment isn't out of control. Like my first DAC starts at $1,000, so that I sell. So if that's out of control for you, I can't help you. And my most expensive DAC is $26,000. And you all know that DCS just released a $350,000 DAC. MSB has a $250,000 DAC. WattX has a $300,000 DAC. So there's at least 3 DACs that are over $250,000 right now. So, so no, my stuff is not out of control. My stuff is definitely way in control, because I won't sell the stuff that's out of control. But maybe you just aren't aware of the things that are out of control. But yeah, if you like old gear, then it's sweet, man. Some people like to drive old cars too. You know, no problem. Some people love their old BMWs, their old Audis, their old whatever, and they drive them until forever, 300,000 miles. That's fine, man. If you're happy with that, you know, you're good, good. You know, I'm stoked for you. I am different. And they go very well with my legacy speakers. Cool, love the music. Maybe one day I'll get Fisher and Fishers. Well, cool. I mean, if you're happy, you don't got to change anything. If you're super happy, but if your legacies are older legacies, like your Mark Levinson or whatever, I think you'd really like the Fishers, and the Fishers would go really well with the older Mark Levinson. There's no question. Cheers, Tribalistas. What's up, Eric? How are you, buddy? Welcome, man. Yeah, play guitar. Whoops. Yeah, play guitar every day. I need to send you that amp. I mean, I've got a great amp, dude. I mean, I have to play acoustic every day. I don't need to play, I don't think, electric necessarily every day. I need to play acoustic every day. When I with the electric, dude, what happens is I just want to play power chords. You know, I turn it up and I'm like, yeah, I want to play like Kiss, you know, like Cold Gin, you know, or some shit. I don't want to play pretty shit. I want to play gnarly, dark, heavy power chords, you know. But when I get the acoustic, it's like, oh, this is so beautiful. I can play nice and pick on the strings and make beautiful strumming sounds, you know. But the Marshall and the Les Paul, dude, that shit's a weapon, bro. It's a weapon. It's like having howdy. How am I not gonna drive fast on the Duck? I'm gonna rip. and you pull out a Marshall and the Les Paul and you freaking rip, bro. That's what it's for. It's great. That killer deal approach definitely leads to a hodgepodge system. It totally does, and people don't understand it. They think that if they just get a culmination of expensive gear and they put it together, that they'll have a great sounding system. And it's just not that way. The gear is very much dependent upon each other. There's certain things that don't go with other things. There's certain brands, and even could be like, there's the basics, which are like, a 8-watt single-ended triode amp is not going to go with an 89 dB 4 ohm speaker. It's just not, especially a floor standard. That's the basics, right? That's basic matching. But then there's more specialized matching, which is like, you know, Wilson doesn't go with Boulder. Like it doesn't matter that it can power it well. And I guess it also depends on what you're after, right? But typically speaking, generally, when you're new to hi-fi, you like the sound that sounds brilliant and clear and with lots of highs and lots of lows and super bombastic, and it would be like saying something that's shiny, like a shiny object, right? That's what you're attracted to. So those typically are the systems that are in the hi-fi stores when you walk off the street, because people that walk in off the street, that they don't know any better, they don't have any experience listening, that's what they go for. That's how an immature listening audiophile ear is attracted to the bright and shiny sound. Okay, so it's like how you can impulsively sell to somebody coming in off the street that doesn't know any better. They will buy that type of system. So that's typically why you see those type of brands in the street, the brick and mortars off the street, because those are the that's the type of sound that's easiest to convert a stranger coming in off the street, right? And then after you learned how to listen and you learn how to feel and how to gauge emotional engagement with the music, not what does it sound like. Okay, that is what does it sound like is um immature listening question, or I don't know how to put this into words, right? um but what is the overall feeling that I get is a more advanced way to listen, because it's not just about how it sounds. Unless you wish to just sit and analyze sound, you don't care about music. You just wish to analyze noises, sounds. If that's what you wish to do, then fine. But just understand that that's what you're looking to do and choose products based on that. If you want to connect to the music and you want to have an emotionally engaging musical experience, then there's a certain sound that does it, and and it's not even a sound. There's a certain, hell if I know what it's called, a certain magic that the system does that will put you under the ether and put you into a music zone. Okay, those are the only kind of systems that I deal with. I know how to find the magic, and even in the systems that are inexpensive that I sell, they all have that certain magic, or I won't carry them. Because when you buy from me, I purvey an experience. I'm not selling certain brands, okay, the cool brands to have. I'm selling the experience that the recipe gives you. A whole recipe of, this with that, with this, gives you a result, an experience. So that's what I sell. I sell the experience. So when people are looking for the killer deals and they're buying stuff used and they just hodgepodge it together, it's never going to match, unless you know exactly what you're looking for and you know that they match together and you're sitting waiting. I'm waiting for that Jeff Rowland 625 S2 or 735 pair of monos. Like when those come up, I'm getting them, and then I'm going to match them with blah, 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 blah. If I find that used, but to try and just say, well, this is a really good speaker in its day, and it was 100 grand, and now I can find it for 15, and you get that. And then, well, this was a really good DAC in its day. It was King of the Hill in 1998, and I can get it now for a fraction of the cost. And you put that in with the, it's just a total, and then you've got no return policy typically with used stuff, and no warranties and that kind of stuff. So it's a tricky thing. At some point, you might just say, look, I'm wiping my hands of this, and I'm just going to trust a professional and hire and buy from a dealer, you know, or and buy new with warranty and all the return policy and all that kind of stuff. I guarantee that you're going to be blown away by what I sell. I don't, like a lot of the return policies are, well, we guarantee it to work, right, when it shows up. That's called the non-DOA warranty, right? Like we warranted against DOA. Well, come on, dude. If it was dead, then it would be fraud, okay? So it's like one step above fraud to say guaranteed not to be DOA. That's like that shouldn't even be said, okay? And then and then I guarantee you're going to be thrilled with it, okay? Not just, yeah, it's okay, but like, oh my God. And then I also guarantee that you will absolutely 100% feel that you got your money's worth. Every penny you spent, you will be like, oh my God, this was totally worth every penny. If you don't feel that way, I'll give you all your money back. You can return it. That's the way, that's what you get when you buy new stuff from a dealer like myself. So it's a different way of buying, you know. Chattanooga is a jewel of a mid-sized city, but don't tell anyone. Yeah, I know. It's a trip, man. It is a little, still a little dinge, right? But that's before anything hits its stride, right? They're always a little dinge at first. And, Chattanooga is an industrial city. There is industry right downtown, right there. Big ass factories, big ass shit, like, right on the river where it was, a trade route at one point, So they've got all this, heavy industry, not light industry, but heavy industry shit. So it's kind of got that edge to it, which is okay. I don't mind. And But there are little pockets of super cool stuff. And it's mellow, man. The traffic is mellow. It's a mellow vibe. It's not all whatever. I live in Atlanta, and dude, I just need to get away sometime. Okay. So here is the next question from Harvard the dog. Would I ever build a rotary subwoofer? No, I wouldn't. Because you can buy one, and I will just buy it from the person that has tripped out on their design for the last, 20 years. You know what I mean? I mean, you buy these from people that have been, that's their one purpose in life, is to build the rotary subwoofer that actually goes to 20 hertz, you know, and you just buy it from them. So I would never build it. I would just buy it, you know. Do you ever do a run of cables? Yes, we're about ready to, together with Rev, who is an engineer, an aerospace engineer. He is going to be my project manager on the cable manufacturer. So there will be Veristar cables shortly, and essentially you'll be buying cables I used to sell to dealers. Veristar. My brand is VERASTARR. Just Google it. You'll see plenty of stuff. Veristar will be back up this year, and you'll be able to buy cables, and you'll buy them at wholesale. So instead of me selling to a dealer, okay, I'll sell to you guys at the same price that I would sell to a dealer. I don't think I need dealers, with the platform that I have, and all of you all that have been so supportive over the years. Kenny boy. Sending our love to you and Joe. Deborah Lee and I are doing well. The last couple of days have been hot, baby. 105? Holy shit, bro. And having 2 amps, 1 DAC turn on permanently gives off heat. I'll bet, dude. That's gnarly, man. 105? Ooh, fa. That is wicked, bro. That's intense. I didn't know it got like that down there. Rumble. What's up, Davey? Forge Carbon. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. It's Forge Carbon. Thoughts on omnidirection super tweeters like Fine is doing? actually super tweeters in general, do they have a place? Super tweeters, sure, man. A super tweeter is a great way to bring up the sound of a speaker that is rolling off a little too early. Typically, panels are notorious with the long ass ribbons. They're notorious for not being able to go into the stratosphere. They can't. A lot of them can't even go strong through 20 hertz. I had one that I measured, and it started rolling off at 15. And I actually put a tweeter and a super tweeter, and I was able to get negative 3B at 20 after adding both of those. Um, yeah, and super tweeters, you can just put them on a speaker, but man, you really need to know that they need them. Okay, so I've been to places where people have just put super tweeters on because they hear it's a thing, and then they just put it on their speaker. And if your speaker already goes high and you add a super tweeter to it, you just jack up your speaker. So I went to a guy's house. I need to make that video, by the way, in New York when I was up there, and we listened, and instantly I was like, "Oh my god, dude, you need to take these." The sound was way too lean, and he had super tweeters on these speakers that I was like, "Dude, I don't even think they need them." So the first thing I did was took off the super tweeters, and then it was much more balanced, and I was like, "Oh man." Way more balanced, way better sounding. I set him in the room properly, and out in about 30 minutes, he and his wife were like, "Oh my god, our system has never sounded so good. I can't believe it. This is unbelievable. Nobody's ever done this for me. I've had an audio system for 30 plus years, and you just came in and in 30 minutes made it sound better than it's ever sound, and we didn't even add anything." And I was like, "Yep." I mean, sorry. I didn't know what to say. I was like, "Thanks for dinner." That's what you get for cooking me a great dinner, man. And So yeah, super tweeters, you need to know that they are necessary. In terms of omnidirectional, okay, so you're talking about omnidirectional super tweeters. Um, yeah, so once you get into the really, really high frequency range, they don't need to be pointed at your ear. My super tweeters were on the back of the speaker, pointed up at the ceiling. On my panels, I had them up at the ceiling, and that's all it needs to do. It's just filling in some high frequency into the room. Yeah, so that's my experience with them. If someone had a medium to small room, what products would you look to sell them? If someone had a medium small room, well, what are you talking about? Like if they needed a whole rig, what would I sell them? Um, the first thing I would need to know is, what the dimensions are of the room and what the budget was, and then I can work within. I recommend typically based on people's budget, and then how big the room is. So, and then if it's a big room, do they sit in on one end listening, or are they trying to fill the whole room? Is it a whole audio room, or what is the deal? Um, so if you want to ask me more, I'm happy to answer during this live stream. If you want to tell me what the size of the room is and what the budget is, and then I'm happy to engage. It was 50 degrees in Iowa and no snow anymore, thankfully. You started smelling the cow shit again. That's the great thing about spring in Iowa. You can smell the cow shit again. You probably don't even smell it, I'll bet, man. When you live out there, you don't even smell it. You don't even notice. And then city slickers like my ass come in there and like, dude. I don't mind cow shit. It's pig shit that's nasty. Pig shit and chicken shit. Forget about it, bro. Cow shit, not so big of a deal, man. Just smells like country, you know? Have you compared MPD8 to another cheaper DSD DAC like T plus A DAC 200 with software conversion to DSD? Oh, no. No, I don't. I mean, I don't know. That's pretty pretty specific, with software conversion to DSD using HQ player. Like, no, I don't know. I've heard T plus A, and I've done direct comparisons with T plus A and MPD8. And the T plus A had like at the time I did it with the version 1, and playback designs, and the T plus A had a more defined edge on it. It was like a um, a cleaner edge, borderline, very borderline. Like it was the razor's edge. Like you would really have to have it teamed well with the other electronics and speakers for it not to be too harsh. Now, granted, I was listening to it through avant-garde horns, so that T plus A could have been normally musical, but I was listening to it on avant-garde horns. But it wasn't musical because the playback designs is musical, and but the new playback designs is more like the T plus A that we heard. But this was a high buck T plus A. It was like mid-20s or something like that. So I don't know what the DAC 200 really is. So it's hard to say. Teddy, what's up, buddy? Good to see you, man. You made me sent the pictures of the ride. So I was like, what am I doing sitting around, man? I went out and started my bike up and I drove up to the cemetery. I saw you were at the cemetery too, so I said, "You know what? There's a cemetery right up the street from my ass." And I actually went there the other day and I liked it because man, you can be in the middle of a city and you pull into the cemetery, dude, and there's nobody there, man. Well, there's all your homeboys under the ground, right? But but nobody other humans, typically are walking around. There's no cars. It's like you, and it's right in the middle of the city, so you get to kind of escape, and you can just dip in there with your bike, and boom, you're off the road, surface streets, and you're into a quiet zone, which is like peaceful, man. So it was like, so I was like, you know what? That's a great fucking idea. I know there's that one cemetery that we went to, Confederate Confederate cemetery, man. So you go in there and there's all sorts of soldiers, and then there's other merchants and things from back in the 1800s from Merida. So it was cool. So thanks for motivating me, man. Look at that. All you had to do, Ted sent pictures is road glide. He's got a badass road glide, and I got the Road King, um, but Teddy's is set up for performance. Mine is set up for cruising. And let's see, let me find this image so I can give Ted some props. Here we are. Where is it? I want to share this with the gang. Okay, so here's the gang. So I should have sent one of my goofy ass in the rearview mirror like you did too. Okay, so here's, whoops, turn this and get a good size. Okay, so here's Ted's Road King. Or Road Glide, I'm sorry. Come on. Come on, man. Focus. Try to get this thing to focus. It's always a pain in the ass. So anyways, that was here's Ted's. It's a CVO. Look at that thing. It's badass. Ted pimps the shit out of all his freaking bikes. You got good taste, Ted, I gotta tell you. You buy the right shit. You buy the right shit. Um and then so here's Mikey. I sent mine back. That's mine. So that's my Road King. That's what I was riding today. Whoops, come on, focus. I got to get a different camera, I think. One that works better. So it never wants to focus. Anyways, you get the idea. Yeah, you get the idea. I got to get the Ducati back, bro. I got to get the duck, and got to get the duck. I did a sick clutch. I'm getting the fuel gauge done now. The fuel gauge is swells up with what do you call that shit? Ethanol. It's a known issue, and they didn't do a recall, of course. What's on hand currently for Fisher and Fisher? I've got 770. I've got 70s. I've got 170s. I've got 270 AMT. I have 370. I have 770. So that's what's all here in USA. The 170 and the 170 and the 770s are pre-tariff. Those are the only two that would be the most aggressive, that I can still be aggressive on. All the other ones are post-tariff. The 770s and the 170s are open box as well, but with full warranty and all that kind of stuff. So those would be the most aggressive that I can get. The other ones are going to be retail, because they're brand new sealed, and that's 70s and 270 AMT and 370. Those are all sealed. Mikey, your Bakersfield tribe member sold his MPD-8. Yeah, I bought it and bought a Bach DSP. I know. I bought the MPD-8 and the streamer back from him. And bought a Bach DSP. Do these two products compete with each other? No, not whatsoever. If you had seen his room in that house, it was in a very hard audio room. Almost, it was extremely reflective. It was one big open giant plan. It was like an open living room and kitchen all in one big open giant room. And with hardwood floors and sheetrock walls and zero room treatment. So it was you had to get in the pocket and crank it up loud to get it to where you didn't get the room interactions and all that kind of stuff. And not everybody wants to listen at full tilt, because he's got the Playback Designs amp. I don't know if you knew that too, but he's got the wicked $100,000, 350 pound, Playback Designs amplifier. So he got Bach DSP because he could DSP. He could handle all that room weirdness and blah, 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 and cure the room without needing to cure the room, right? It's a way to do it digitally. You manipulate the sound and you do shit with delay and whatever, and you manipulate the sonic. So they're not competition. They're actually for two completely different things. Now he's in the process of building his room out in his new place, so he'll have one that's totally dialed in for Sonic. So he may go back to Playback Designs. I have no idea. We'll see what he thinks, if he still likes his Bach or whatever. But that was the reason why he did it, and I bought him back. Mike, you're definitely correct. Everything interconnects in the system through overlapping electromagnetic fields, mechanical vibration, and acoustics. Yep, for sure. It does. Steven Stoller asks, do you find that one streaming service sounds better than others, and do you pay attention to the resolution of the streams? I actually don't. Okay, so, and this is a weird thing that happened. Once I got to a certain level with my audio system, with everything that I have at this point, it's at I mean, I don't mean to sound, it's at such a high level, right? But I'm not trying to boast or whatever, but it is at such a high level that all that stuff like a resolution becomes moot. It doesn't matter. It can be 1644. It can, and as a matter of fact, 1644 sounds better than most of the streamed high res stuff, because the streamed high res stuff isn't really the original how it was recorded. So the best format is always how it was originally recorded. So like if you had something that was recorded on tape, like from way back when, it's going to sound best if you play it back on magnetic tape, like what I have behind me. If it was recorded digitally at 1644, it's going to sound best replayed digitally at 1644. But most of these high res formats, they upsample, or they reconfigure them, they redo whatever, they slice them, dice them, chop them, flop them, and turn them into different things than their original recording. And then they get artifacts and they get weird. So typically the 1644 sounds the best to me. It's the most natural. But yeah, so I haven't found that one streaming service sounds better. Some people will absolutely be like, absolutely Qobuz sounds better than Roon and blah, 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 and whatever. I just, again, I go on, am I emotionally connecting to the music on a high level? And if I do, then bravo. I've crossed the line. Now the because wondering about the resolution and all the little things, and my this and my that, and is this okay and is that okay, it's all anxiety. It's all anxiety riddled, and I really don't want anxiety with my audio system whatsoever. I want full tilt relaxation only. That's the only thing I want. I want to go in there, put on music, be completely relaxed, um, completely oblivious to the fact that I'm listening to an audio rig. I want to forget that I'm listening to an audio system because I'm that engrossed in the music. And that can happen to the point where you forget you're listening to music, even though you are. You forget that that's what you're doing. You're just like on the trip of the song or whatever, right? You're in under the ether, as it were, of the music. So yeah, I mean, I don't have a certain streaming service that I think I use, Qobuz, just because that's the one that I use, and there isn't any particular reason or not. I mean, I think people say it sounds the best, so I'm like, okay, whatever, I'll just use that one. I mean, it's like David Solomon was part of Qobuz, and I know David, so I'm like, okay, I'll use the thing that David is part of, and there's just that's why I chose it. But can I remember it being different when I was using and I use and it's not only the streaming service, but it's the streaming software. Okay. So there's streaming services like Qobuz and Tidal, and then there's software, playback software, streaming playback software like M Connect Pro or Bubble UPnP or Rune or whatever. Those are all playback softwares, right? Or playback apps. And so all those things, people sit and quabble and go over it. But look, when you get to a certain level of a rig, that stuff becomes moot. It's just almost like the cables too become moot. It just doesn't matter. You can put whatever cable in. It was like when we were talking earlier about the guy that said one cable makes it too bright, one cable makes it too dull. It's like, that sucks, man, because that means your gear is beheld to the cable. And that's horrible, man. Your gear should be able to sound great with the freaking stock piece of shit power cord that it comes with, right? And then if you want to improve things incrementally, then you change the cables and you start upgrading, and you can go from their first level to their second level to their third level after you do all the broad strokes and after you get everything matched correctly. Then you can polish it. You can take it higher little by little should you decide to, but it should never need the damn cables. It should never need a certain streaming service. It should never need a certain resolution to sound good. It should sound good with the basic cables and with the basic streaming. So I hope that makes sense. And then you can improve it from there, but it should sound absolutely where you're totally satisfied with none of that stuff, right? For sure, asking how does it make you feel is a mature question, but still 90% of experienced audiophiles are excessively fixated on what does it sound like. Well, yeah, but you get over that, because like at some point everything sounds good, right? And then you're like, well, how? And this is how I came to this on my own accord, like because I would go into the rooms and I'm like, everything sounds fucking great. Like how do I how would I determine which system I want over the other systems? And what I realized is what first, before it was feeling, it was what are my thoughts doing. That was one of the first things. I go into let's say all systems are at a 10, okay, insofar as sound, okay? So we've got 100 rooms. All of them are at a 10 level in terms of sound. Okay, so now how do we differentiate between the two? Well, I'm like, fuck, how do I differentiate? Well, there's got to be something. And I started to notice my thoughts were doing different things in different rooms. Some rooms I kept just thinking about the sound. I could not freaking stop analyzing the sound. I call it analysis paralysis. It means you can't fucking get out of your mind about what it sounds like. And that's typically the systems that are wicked ear candy. They're just little candy gumdrops of sound in the whole sound sphere. You're just hearing all these little ornamental sounds that are so pretty and so distinct and in their own place and all this shit that it's fucking distracting. You're like, I can't enjoy the music because I'm tripping on the little candy gumdrops of sound everywhere. And it's like fucking annoying to me. Okay. That's not what I want my audio experience to be. I don't want to go into my $200,000 room and be engaged intellectually and mind, like analytically, not intellectually, but analytically. I don't want to be analytically engaged. My life is analytical engagement with business analysis and analyzing the market and analyzing different things. My life is analysis. I want to leave that shit when I go to the audio room. I want to go in there and have my mind go zen, just like no thoughts, like stop that analysis shit, right? Like give me some relief from that. Don't fucking stoke the fire with all your little candy gumdrops, like kicking my monkey in my brain. I call it the squirrel, kicking my squirrel into high gear. It's like those systems are like feeding my squirrel RC cola and birthday cake, and he's having a sugar freaking rush. And he's got a bunch of cymbals and a drum set, and he's fucking going crazy, right? I don't fucking want that shit. Excuse me, I'm getting. This is how I talk when I'm emphatic, right? My filter's on, and I'm leveling with you like real people, and so I'm sorry if I'm offensive, but this is how I talk. Okay, so that's not what I want. Okay, now other systems, you will go into out of those 100 rooms, some are going to engage you. You're going to be analysis paralysis. Your mind, what are my thoughts doing? That's what you have to step one layer back on awareness and say, what is squirrel brain doing? Okay, what is human brain doing? Okay, it's and analyzing. It can't stop analyzing. You go in another one, and you're like, and all of a sudden your thoughts are like, uh, what is this song? Who wrote this song? Geez, what year was this? Damn, like what's he singing about? Oh, he's singing about a chick. Oh, check it out, man. Oh, he's getting smooth on his chick now. Like, check this out. This is for a woman. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is a love song. Like those are your thoughts. Now you're music centric in your mindset, in your thoughts are music centric. Okay. The other one, your thoughts are sound centric. Okay. They all sound great. They're all at a 10 level sound, but they will make your brain do different things depending on the rig. And then finally, how do I feel in my heart? How does my body feel? How does my physiology feel right now? Do I feel calm? Do I feel anxious? The one that agitates my squirrel, I'm anxious in that room. I'm sitting there, I'm looking around, I can't really sit still. I'm like, my foot's going, my knee may be bouncing, doing, 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 doing. I'm looking around, I'm listening, another one I get in where I'm listening to the music, dude, I go limp. My body's like limp. I'm like, oh, this is relaxing. I call it audio volume. It's like, I feel like, oh, dude, I could sit here for another fucking hour. Like, I don't even want to go to the next room. Like, I'm sorry if I'm taking up your space, but dude, this is way too comfortable. I don't want to get out of this chair. Okay. And these are the ways that when you get to a really acute, acute awareness of what the system, what the result is, and what the experience is, because you need to buy a system based on what experience you want while engaging with that system, because they will give you different experiences, just like the Ducati versus the Harley. They're two completely different experiences for different desires. Today I want to go out and I want to putt around, feel fat and soft, and let my mind like daydream. Okay, the Harley Road King is for that. I can daydream, I can float. The thing basically drives itself. It's like flotation on a couch, right? Then some days, if I go to the mountain, I want an Italian ripper. And my Ducati is all of that. It is extremely responsive. Has extremely, the brakes are extremely good. The acceleration is hard. The clutch engagement is solid, and this is now I'm in racing mode. Now I'm in performance mode. So you buy things based on what experience result you want. That's how I buy things. You can do whatever you want, but I buy things based on the result that I want. So it's the same with the audio system. But with my audio system, I don't want ever the anxious, analysis. I know for a fact. I've had those systems, they tire me out. I become fatigued. I don't want to spend time in them. I'd rather just sit in the ones that are comfortable and easy and relaxing and cool, and that's it. So this is a thing. The experienced audiophiles, if they've been doing it a long time and they're still fixated on what's it sound like, then they may be experienced, but they're not evolved. Because when you evolve on it, you look at what's the experience, not necessarily what does it sound like. Where does it sound like is a very basic way of looking at audio. Je ne sais quoi. Yes. I agree with you regarding listening. Does it mesmerize you? Yes, right. Where you almost lose track of the music because it takes you on an adventure. That's why I've said it before. It's like a big storybook. Each song, like you have a giant storybook with a pop-up. Remember when you're a kid and you had the pop-up books? And it's like each song you turn a giant page and the things pop up and they 3D, right? That's what my audio says, like that. It's like a giant storybook. Every song, I get this. I flip a page and it pops up, and I've got this whole thing, a whole visual thing. It's a whole. It includes. It's way more than just listening, and if that's what you want from your system, then that's what you seek. That's what you go for. But the idea is to know what you're after and choose the system based on the experience that you're after. If you're after analysis, I can tell you how to do it and I'll send you to somebody else because I don't I don't serve those, because I don't like them. Yo tribe, what's up, Daniel? How's our XRP doing? Hey tribe, kicking tires and lighting fires. There he goes, SR71. Volkswagen and Nissan have factories close to Chattanooga. Do they? Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. I wonder if I pass by them. There's a lot. You're out there and you be driving along out in some Sticksville, and you see these massive campuses with like these factories that you're like, dude, what is going on there? Like it's so big. You're like, this got to be like an Amazon distribution, but it's out in the middle of nowhere, so it's probably not Amazon. It's probably more like what you're talking about. Chattanooga equals American as F Motorsports. Yes, you know it, man. Mikey, I've sold about 100 of your vinyl. Lots more leaving soon. Look at this. Okay, so here we've got a guy who's a steeped modified audiophile who bought the MPD8 and the MPSX and is selling all his vinyl. And this isn't a guy that has 500 records and he's got one of each thing. This is the guy that has 5 different Dark Side of the Moon pressings because he knows which each one is, and he's got the original, and he's got the remaster, and he's got the Bernie Grunman, and he's got the or whatever the hell. So this is a steeped audiophile. This is a guy into vinyl almost anybody I know, and he's an MPD8, and this wasn't even the pitch. I didn't even tell him it was, and I didn't even intend that it was going to do this. And the next thing you know, he's calling me, Mikey, I'm selling my vinyl, dude. There's no reason to keep it. I've been back and forth. I've A-B'd it now a million times, like hundreds of times I've A-B'd it. And it's not worth, there's no saving grace for the vinyl, which is pretty wild. How does Class A in a tube amp sound different than in a solid state amp? It doesn't matter if it's Class A or AB. Just you can just take out the Class A part and just say, how does a tube amp sound different than a solid state amp? It doesn't matter. Class A doesn't change. It's how does a tube sound versus solid state. You know, it may be said that Class A. I mean, maybe you could say Class A in a tube amp is something that is me fully desirable. I like it better in a tube amp than I do in a solid state amp. I like AB in a solid state amp better than A, but I like A in a tube better than I like AB. So I kind of get what you're saying now. Off topic, I saw the movie F1. It was pretty good. Photography and sound amazing. What is that? Is that like a racing like Formula One thing? I don't smell any of it anymore, but I'm used to my shit. The fields that get hog waste on them will definitely be pretty ripe for a while when it warms up. Absolutely, bro. I won't. When we were up there looking at properties, this realtor showing us stuff, and we're looking at the aerial view, and I'm like, dude, don't you see those four strips? Like you see four lines from the aerial view, and you know what that is? That's a freaking hog house. You know, hog houses, pig houses, or chicken houses. I'm like, dude, you can't put me near that shit. You know, the wind blows the wrong way, and you're come on. And she's like, oh, I didn't know. I'm like, God damn, girl. I just taught you some shit that's, yeah. And she was from the country. I was like, how could you not know that? Dude, those things, I mean, for anybody looking up there, man, and especially North Georgia and stuff, there's a lot of chickens, man, and a lot of pigs. We do a lot of pork down here. And you got to look for the buildings and the area views when you're looking for a place because you don't want to be near the groundwater where that shit is. It ruins the groundwater. There's all sorts of fertilizer and pig shit and all sorts of stuff that goes into the water table. And then if you're close enough, you smell it and it's horrible. Avant-garde horns at Angie's place, I guess? No, it wasn't. It was in Angie's room. It was in Angie's room at a show, and I brought my playback designs and we did a comparison. If you have DSD files, then you can compare those to T plus A as a direct comparison. Otherwise, for PCM, T plus A uses a different converter, and it as good as DSD. Yeah, yep, I get it. They do different. They do different ones. It's not the same. Anyways, how can I get you to listen to a new amplifier brand? Maybe you could be a reseller at the US. Which one? Sup, Mikey? Was it? Didn't you tell me about it? Angstrom Audio Lab or something like that. Sup, Mikey? Happy New Year. Been a minute. Yes. Real quick. Would it be pointless to use a solid state vintage receiver that is unbridgeable as monoblocks? Came across a 72 Sony and it sounds tube. A solid state vintage receiver that is unbridgeable as monoblocks. I don't get it. It's a stereo amp then, right? Like, okay, this doesn't make sense. Use whatever sounds good. That's what I say. Whatever makes you happy, that's what you use. Does a lower frequency response translate to more bass? Typically, but it depends. I mean, the if you're talking about an amplifier, then the speaker has to be able to do that. Surely stand mount Fisher and Fishers don't make more bass than the 170s. Totally fucks with my head. Um okay, so here is they go lower, but the output isn't as great. Okay? So in other words, the 170s have a bigger woofer, and that bigger woofer can go a little deeper, right? But the 170s are very close. Like, what are we talking about? A couple hertz or something like that? 20, 38 and 35 or something like that, you know? And then we're taking into consideration the measurement of the speaker in an anechoic chamber. Okay, so in other words, the frequency response will change for that speaker depending on your room. Okay, so you can look at the frequency response of a speaker. I can get more output from it at a low frequency by putting it in a corner, or pulling it out of a corner. I can fully change the frequency response. So you have to understand, you never buy based on that frequency response. The frequency response and the specs of a speaker are just generalizations. That's the best they can ever be. It's just a general idea of what this thing's capable of. has never tells you what it sounds like, not even close. You can never guess. And you can enhance that speaker's bass capability by putting it in a corner, by pointing its ass end into a corner and messing with the distance between the corner and out here. You're going to uh, it will attenuate certain waves or accentuate certain frequencies, and then you tune it to your liking, and then you get it right. That's what we talk about, moving things in and out, or moving your speakers around, because you can attenuate their frequency response. Steven Solar, once you get an MPD8, enhance everything that gets thrown at it. Resolution level or sampling does not matter. The MPD8 fixes the streaming. I use Qobuz because I like the app. Any of them. Okay. Hey, what's up? I feel the need to post in your chat. Hi. Hey, what's up? I feel the need to answer. Hey, dude, here with you. Salute. What's up, man? Good to see you. Welcome. Just switched from Hi-Fi 5. How was it? I heard they were talked to Jay earlier. I think he said they were talking about the $250,000 Shunyata, if that's the number that I'm thinking it's right, $250,000 cable loom or something like that. What's funny is the audiophile guys think that if they whine enough that that those companies are going to stop making that shit. They're not. They're going to keep taking it higher and higher. They're going to keep taking it higher and higher until this motherfucker blows up. Okay? That's what the plan is of the powers that be. Okay? They're going to keep taking prices higher and higher until it absolutely just explodes, till it implodes and it's over, and then they're going to be rich and they're not going to give a shit, because they're going to be like, we got filthy rich and who cares about the industry anymore? That's, I mean, look, any of us, and mark my words, any of us, whether we're manufacturers, whether we're dealers, whether we're whatever, any of us, if we can get out of hi-fi with a grip like a boatload of money, we will do it. All of us would love to get out of it. None of us love it here. We do it because we have to, and we know it. It's what we know, but it is not. It's full and rife with so much bullshit and poppycock and made up shit and overpriced crap, and it's just such a clown show that, like, if I could get out of it, I totally would. But this is my profession. This is what I know. And I think you kind of need a straight shooter in all this crap. But look, if I could get out of it, I totally would. I would bail. If I had a better, and we'll talk more about some ideas that I have. I always will love an audio system, but to be hyper focused and only into audio systems is a little, it's adding a lot, man. I've been in this for 25 years. 26 is going to be 26 years now. And it's the same shit as it was 26 years ago, the same ridiculous bullshit. But you know what's happening, dude, is the cool masters of audio are all dying, bro. Like the good designers, like the Jeff Rollins, the Andreas Koch, these guys are old, bro. They're not getting any younger, and there is not new talent. There's a very few finite amount of new talent that's coming in, and they're not breaking ground the way the old guys did. This is an era that had a peak and is petering the fuck out. Okay. And will be gone. Okay. There will be still a few odds and ends, but it's nothing like it used to be. It will be nothing like it used to be. There will, eventually technology will come to a point where it's like the 8-track. It just won't make sense for anybody anymore. The younger generation, they're not the 20-year-olds. You think they're getting into this big old hi-fi shit? No, they're not. They don't care, So 20 years from now, good freaking luck. Let's see where it is. So there's better things to do, and I've got better ideas. It includes hi-fi, but it also includes food, cigars, watches, guns, cars, fishing, freaking cheese, whatever. Okay. the connoisseur, the finer things in life, everything, all of it. Okay, knives, whatever, everything. Okay, so that's the concept that's coming. Because man, I've sit here and look, I'm passionate about the audio arts, but it is extremely hard to see a light at the end of the tunnel with the audio industry the way it is. And in fact, I've spent the last several years coming to the conclusion that I don't think there is a light at the end of the tunnel. You know, I just don't think there is a back end on it. It just doesn't make sense. It's going to be goofy, stupid shit made by goofy, stupid companies pimping goofy, stupid pitches and goofy, stupid, plasticky fucking, shit that's overpriced. It's just and one day, okay, Apple decide to come in the game and fuck everybody. At that point, you're screwed. Okay, because they will make something better than any of the hi-fi systems, and they will make it for a price lower than anything that's ever been done, and they will absolutely dominate. And then it's over. Then it's like, okay, nobody's going to care. The young kids that are in their 20s now will just be like, I'm buying the Apple bombastic system or whatever, and it'll be 10 grand and it'll kick the shit out of anything. And maybe it doesn't even have speakers. Maybe it's like something you jack into it and it goes into your brain. Maybe it just sends you a signal and you just hear the music in your mind. It's not going to be the typical shit. These big ass freaking speakers with magnets and motors moving shit mechanically back and forth. It's just that's going to change eventually, man. It's just going to change. Some people want to hang on to the old things and they're infatuated with vintage stuff, and that's fine, but it's just for the times. Hi-fi is not something for the times at all. It's cool, don't get me wrong, but I have to look at this like a life's vocation. And how am I doing things for the world, and am I in the right vibration for where the world is heading? So and it's just getting crazier. Things are just getting more expensive, and they don't give a shit. They're not going to listen to the audio files and keep it price. Who the Chinese will come in and be doing the cheap stuff, and then everybody, you'll have no choice but to buy the Chinese stuff. Oh my God, who knows? But I don't see great things. I just see companies making more and more expensive shit. Let's wait for the $1 million speakers. Who's gonna? Let's wait for Borison to bring out their $1 million speakers or whatever. Because it's coming. It's coming, baby. It is coming. They don't give a shit about you. They only care about the uber wealthy. That's all. They're sucking the balls of the uber wealthy. That's what these companies do. Mikey, Paul from PS Audio describes seeing the singer. In your opinion, how much do you need to spend to get that effect? Seeing singer has body and I don't think it's a matter of how much you need to spend. I think it's a matter of how well you get the system dialed. And that's a component of the room. It's a component of the matching of the speakers with the amps and everything else, the DAC especially. So it's a recipe. So it's like saying someone described tasting the best chili in the world, and it was orgasmic. How much money do you have to spend to taste that chili to get the taste orgasm? It's not really necessarily a matter of how much you spend. It's a matter of how good you are at the craft. So you could see the singer with headphones. So it's just a matter of how good the system is. Pete the Staffy dog loves Mikey. Right on, brother. Love you too. And I love your little puppy dog. That's so cute. Is that a Staffy? He doesn't. It looks like a boxer almost. If that's a Staffy with a little black face, he's super cute. And is that easier to achieve in tube gears than solid state? What was? Let me see the front end of this. I'll scroll back. Huh. I don't see the front end of this. Oh wait, Paul PS. Oh yeah, seeing the singer. And is that easier to achieve from tube gears than solid state? Yes, it's totally easier to achieve with tube. The singer performing, but not just yeah. Tubes are able to do that ethereal, magical thing that is very visual, because it has natural second order harmonics, which makes it feel very organic nature to it. Solid state can do it. It's just way harder. Okay. So the solid state has to be freaking world class level solid state to do that. Whereas with a tube, you can almost do it with cheap tube shit, right? It's like I don't know that I've ever really heard a tube amp that sounds shitty, right? It's like you can even get, and I don't suggest you do this, but you could get cheap, almost cheap, not the real $500 amps on like Timu, but you could almost get cheap shit. Like what I considered cheap was Jolita, cheap Chinese tube amps that sounded really good, man, back in the day, and I used to modify them, and cheap Chinese stuff, cheap tube amps that sounded phenomenal, and they were made in China and they weren't made to a high level. So um, it is easier to do it with with a tube. No Ducati. Yes, Ducati. Get an MV Augusta. Yes, I know, dude, but there is no MV that is like, I mean, they don't have an MV like the Multistrada 1260. And an MV Augusta is a triple, bro. It's not a V twin. And I like the thump of a V twin and I like a dry clutch. So Ducati is my machine. And I've had like 6 Ducatis starting from my 1988 750 Paso, which was the very first Ducati that I had in 78, 79. Let's see. I'm sorry. It was an 88. I had it 88, 89, 90, 91, 90. I bought it in 92. And it was an 88. That was my first Ducati. Dude, I'm a Ducati boy, I love that shit. And I've had what did I have that was made? I had a Husqvarna that was made by MV, a 510 Supermoto. And I do like MVs. Like Teddy's got a bunch of MVs, Brutales and a dragster. He's got a dragster and 2 Brutales or something like that. The other one, what am I thinking of? Not MV, but Aprilia. Aprilia is the other one that I like. But an MV is pretty sweet, although they don't have exactly the type of bike. I like a V twin. I like a V twin. However, where I live in Brazil, it's either Triumph. I'm a teabag. Oh, dude, that's so funny. Look at that, Teddy. Are you listening? Dude, that is so funny. We got a buddy of ours that rides Triumph, and we fucking tease him so much. Look, a Triumph is a good bike, okay? We all know a Triumph is a good bike, but it's still, we're going to tease the Triumph guy no matter what. It doesn't matter. Unless it's a 675 Daytona and the guy's on the track shredding, okay? But if you're on the street with a Triumph, you're a teabag. Or Ducati. So going to buy a Monster. Monster's a great bike, man. You'll love it. I've had 2 Monsters. Grande Notte Solo or Nat single with Focal Diablo. I have a Griffin Diablo presently, looking at the Essence 50 Class A. Unbiased thoughts, please. Well, the Nat single doesn't have a streamer or a DAC. The Grande Notte Solo is a more complete package. It's got everything. The Grande Notte Solo is an all-in-one, so it's pretty cool. So I like the Grande Notte. And you have sensitive speakers. 89 dB. My bad. Are they 4 ohm or 8 ohm? Grande Notte Solo kind of needs a little bit more of the on the sensitive side for speakers. But I like the Grande Notte because it's got everything in one. I agree on the aspect of listening to the music, not the system. The music should be like a water, which you can't stop listening to and keep wondering what's coming from the track, which yeah, right. Yes, Formula One, Brad Pitt, Javier Bardem. Check it out. Awesome race footage, like Le Mans. Yeah, I'll do it when I get my in the big room, when I get the big 120 screen set up. I don't know. I was like, I think I got my projector for a long time. It's still pretty kick ass, but I know they've got better ones now. I could get a laser and really do up the home theater, but I don't think I will. The amp is produced in Canada. This is where I am from, if you remember. The name of the company is Eon Art. Okay, so let me check it out. Okay. A new website is in construction. Okay. Oh, these are tough, bro. Let's see. 200. Oh, yeah. I've seen this brand before, bro. Um, okay, so here's the thing with these now. Um, okay, with new brands like this that aren't, penetrated into the market well. Um, a lot of times, and I'm not sure if that is the way with this, but first of all, it's very plain looking. Okay, so plain amps, and it's a little, and it's got blue ink on it. It's just a weird. It's not pretty, bro. It's not pretty. So to come in with something that's not pretty, you have to crush it with the sound. You got to be something that is like something that nobody's ever heard. And again, pretty is in the eye of the beholder, but I don't think this is a pretty gear. I wouldn't want to look at it in my audio room. Um, so it's got and so it's got to kill you with the sound. So let's say it does. What happens is a lot of these companies, they have patents and they have things and they're very proud of their designs because it's a special unique thing. And you're like, well, how much is the stereo amp? And they're like, $35,000. And you're like, there's no fucking way you're coming in without a strong name and without any backing, or history that is a long history, and you're coming in with something that isn't just amazingly beautiful, and you expect people to, because when something is plain looking, you buy it based on the name, like its reputation, right? Like that's how that stuff sells. Or you can buy that are gorgeous. Uh, you know, it makes it easier to for people to wrap their head around spending money when something is gorgeous, right? It's just like you can see it that it's expensive. But when it doesn't look expensive and you want to charge expensive money, then you better have a name that precludes everything, right? So when they come in with something that's not pretty and a high price, good luck. You're never going to get it off the ground. And I've heard some really good stuff out there, from companies, but I think they get too aggressive with their pricing off the cuff. They go, well, my stuff sounds as good as Dan D'Agostino. It sounds better. So I'm going to charge, the same price or a little bit less. And you're like, dude, it doesn't work that way, man. It doesn't work that way. You got to come in under market, and then you got to earn people's respect over years' time. And then you can start jacking your price. Like these guys, MSB with the $350,000 DAC. You can do that when you have a name like MSB. You can't do it when you have a name, even if you make something that sounds as good. If you don't have a name, it doesn't matter, man. Nobody wants it. So it's tough. But if you know the guys at Eon Art and you want to get them to send me something, I'd have to look at their price list first and see if they're on the planet. Because I've had stuff like this where I say, "Oh, this looks like an interesting opportunity." Then I ask the price for the price list, and they send me the price list, and I'm like, "You guys are smoking crack. Like, there's no way. Sorry, I'm just, good luck." And then there's some that I get, and I'm like, "Okay, respect. These guys are, I can work with this." Hey, Mikey, any chance you'll be showing the 270s or other model at the Florida show? I haven't talked to anybody. Do you know anybody that's got a room that wants me to bring 270s? Because I could throw them in my truck and come down. But if you're a potential buyer, like that's even better, because I'll probably be driving down, and it's not too big of a deal for me to throw 270s into the truck. And, then somebody saves like $650 on shipping, which is what they would cost. I don't have any plan of showing down there, but I could put him in anybody's room. I can call. I can see if Alberto wants to do it. If he's going to go, I don't know if he's going to go or not. The Florida show is kind of like, it's did they doing it in a new location this year? I can't remember. It's not it's like I'm remembering, it's fun to see people, but it's not like the greatest location and all that kind of stuff. And then the show is not that big, and it just features the dealers that are running it and mostly, and it's not my favorite show. I like to see the people, but it's not my favorite show. I just switched from the 5, but I have the channel on mute, spinning 9-inch nails. There you go. Other than that, how was the play, Mrs. Lincoln? Yeah, exactly. The 72 Sony has a switch that can make it be used as a preamp or power amp. I was wondering if I could use 2 of them. Oh, in power amp, wow, you found 2 from 1972? I could use 2 in power amp mode as quasi monoblocks. 1 cable, well, sure you could. You could do that, no problem. I don't see why not. When was peak hi-fi era in a positive way? 1986. I would say from, let me give you a span. From, let's see, probably 84 to I'll be generous. I'll say from 84 to 2000, the year 2000. But probably 84 to 94 was its peak. Maybe even a little bit less, maybe 82. Maybe we could say 82 to 94, something like that. I mean, there was a point where, in Playboy, they would advertise audio systems with dudes with chicks hanging on them, and they're drinking, they got cocktails, martinis and shit, and you weren't a dude unless you had an audio system. So it was like all dudes wanted an audio system. It wasn't something for nerdy hi-fi geeks like we are. Right now it's relegated for nerds, but back in the day it was, it was mainstream and it was cool, and you weren't a man unless you had a freaking Corvette, a mustache, polyester pants, and a freaking audio system. But you needed to have the audio system, man. You were the Mac Daddy. If you could go over and swoon the ladies by throwing on a record, man, you were the shit. It's not that way anymore. Nobody gives a shit. People are just like, whatever, okay, cool, stereo. It's totally not the same. Whereas back in the day, it was like they would get together. You got to remember when radio came out, it was a thing. The family would get together and sit down on the floor and listen to the radio show. They were huddled around that thing. So then that just turned into, that got more advanced, until it was kick-ass Slayer, like not the band, but like a Poon Slayer, right? Like the Poon Slayer had the wicked system. It was like the cool macho thing to have, just like a Camaro or whatever. You had an audio, so for sure, any dude that had a top Camaro had a wicked freaking audio system for sure. Or just an audio something, Pioneer thing with all the lights and the meters and all that shit. That was the shit, man. And when the Pioneer and all that stuff was popular, there was the high-end audio. This is like when Mark Levinson's a young guy getting his start, and Jeff Rowland is a young guy getting his start. And these dudes come in and just kill it, like do some cool-ass shit, So, yeah, so those guys are gone and nobody's replacing them. Aloha, Mikey. Because I mean, can you imagine being in a young guy and like being like, well, what am I going to do with my career? Okay, so back in the day for Jeff Rowland, Mark Levinson, those guys, like audio was a totally solid career path. Like it made sense. Like it was growing. Like it was hot potatoes. Like now, audio, it's like, dude, that would be like the worst thing you could do with, go to college and learn how to make analog circuit design for audio. it's there's no way. Nobody's gonna do it. Nobody cares. There's no market for it. There's a very limited market for luxury buyers that don't know any better, that just don't know any better, that just want to spend on some shit, and whatever. It's not it's just it's turning in. That's why everybody keeps marking their shit up and making it, because the industry is disappearing, and the only ones that are left are the people that have tons of money and just don't give a shit. They're just looking for the next thing to buy because they're running out of shit to buy. They've already bought everything at the wicked stupid level. The cars, they've got 12 of them. The houses, they've got 12 of them. The planes, they've got 3 of them. It's like the yachts, they've got 3 of them. They've got, so it's like, so an audio thing, the watches, they've got 100. The audio thing is just another thing they can spend their dough on. So they don't give a shit. It doesn't even matter if they play it. It doesn't matter if it sounds killer or not. It just matters that it's $500,000 and that it feels exclusive. That's all they need. So that's what they're going after, and we're getting left in dust. But we still got some time, man. We still got some time. Aloha, Mikey Tribe. Happy New Year from Big Island. Happy New Year's, man. Happy New Year. To get good soundstage and imaging, it's always the equipment. It's the basics of room setup, the triangle, and some room treatment. Like always, it's the basics. Yes. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. It's not always the gear, but it's always the setup if you want great imaging and soundstage. I agree. Speakers are 89 dB, 8 ohm, 4 ohm minimum. Okay. Streaming and DAC is covered by Aqua La Scala and Link streamer with HQ player. Not much of a fan of the Grande Note display. A bit vulgar. You can turn it off and you can change it. It's got several different. So if you like kind of the thing with then Nat is definitely your thing. But the Nat single is they're not for those speakers. 89 dB, 8 ohm, 4 ohm minimum. Now, you want something a little more sensitive. Fun fact, Volkswagen owns Ducati. Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah, it's pretty wild, dude. It sucks. I've watched my brand just get more popular and just come away from. They're just making the bikes better. It sucks. They used to be like raunchy and loud and obnoxious and like have all these quirks and like hiccups and things, and that's what made them great, man. They were the Italian stallion. They weren't meant to be refined design. They were meant to be raw, uncut design. Now they're like all so refined, and there's so much, that I had to spend 5G to get a clutch on mine that was like that used to come with the old ones, but they wanted to make it smoother. What they do, and it's the same with Ferraris and everything like that, is they're making them easier to ride for idiots, right? Because they need to sell, instead of selling them to, like it used to be, a Ducati went to an expert rider. You had to earn the right to, you had to earn a Ducati. You had to, and it buck and snow, and you had to know how to ride. You had to handle it, man. Now they make it so easy, all these sensors, all these things, so you don't get in trouble. And it makes it safer, but it makes it so that less experienced riders can ride. So it gives them a bigger market, right? So it makes sense from a business standpoint. But from a Ducatisti standpoint, they're dumbing them down and making them neutered, and they're making them better and more refined, but they're just not as visceral. So whatever. Volkswagen, Audi, yes. And your point is Triumph equals teabag or D-bag? Yeah. Exactly. That's funny. You going to Axpona? Probably, because I got buddies in Chicago. So, these audio shows are a complete write-off, right? It's a business write-off. So I go in there and I'm able to go write off a trip and go do my audio shit and my business shit, and then go hang out with buddies afterwards. So it's a way for me to go hang with buddies. So I probably will go to Axpona, not because I give a shit about the show, but because I want to see my friends. So yeah, I probably will. Eon Art sounds really, really great. You would be blown away, I think. I had a Quark in the house against G Granino Demones, and wow. Always sharing rooms with Gershman Acoustics in Montreal and Toronto. Huh, okay. Well, I've got some Demones here right now, so I could compare it direct to those. Um, but yeah, it's you look at those amps and you look at them and you can't sell those to a normal person typically. You have to sell those to audiophiles because audiophiles don't give a shit how things look. It's about the sound. But a normal person with a beautiful house wants some shit to look beautiful, man. They want it. I mean, I do. I don't want to put some weird looking thing that has a fucking bright blue printing on a silver face. Now, granted, I get that they're in a slagging the brand, but if your shit is that good, pick up your commercial design. You know, man, hire somebody to design you a faceplate. Hire a consultant to give you design consulting. You know, because that thing is not pretty, and it sucks because it sounds great, like what you're talking about. You know, but who wants that? Holiday in Cambodia, totally famous audiophile there. Oh, that's Jello Biafra. I'm thinking of Henry Rollins. I've talked to Henry a couple times. He's an audiophile. Playing ethnic jazz to parade your schnaz on your 5 grand stereo. Oh, that's funny. Okay, I didn't know that was a lyric. Playing ethnic jazz to parade your snaz on your 5 grand stereo. That's funny. And 5 grand was probably heavy duty in that day, right? Yo, Mikey, Tommy, K, the Kehoe. What's up, brother? You met my wife and me at Southwest Audio Fest. Cool, man. Um, are you headed to Dallas on July 23rd to 25th? Hope to see you here. Oh, for the audio show? I don't know. Probably. Probably. I probably have to go. I end up going to the shows. I don't know. Yeah, I found two. Not a vintage purist here, but they sound that good. Wish I could play with the modern good stuff because the future is where it's at. I too love vinyl. That MPD is in my dreams. Well, yeah, man, just rock what you got, brother. Rock it. MV is the new old Ducati. Yeah, I know it is. It is, but they just, dude, triples, man. That's all I got to say. Fucking triples, dude. Whatever. Fucking triple. What is it? A Triumph? You know? Give me a goddamn V twin, brother. The triples, what bugs me about MV, dude, is the triple. And yeah, triples are kind of cool in some ways, but there's just that's why they're not the new Ducati. If they were a V twin, they could be the new Ducati. If they were the Aprilia, maybe it's the new Ducati or something like that. You know, but it's a triple. It's different. It's closer to Triumph than it is to Ducati. You know, it looks Ducati, but the engine's full tilt Triumph. What's your personal preference rank between headphones, near field and full? Oh, my personal rank is full room listening number one for sure. Near field number two, headphones number three. Is that what you meant? I may go to Exponent. Well, cool, bro. We can hang out. Totally agree for look versus sound versus audiophile versus market. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you got to be realistic. I mean, it's great to have a great sounding thing, but fucking A, if you've got a killer sounding thing, hire somebody to do commercial design. You got to have Fisher and Fisher engineer on show sometime. He came to, well, Thomas, the owner, did. I doubt, these guys will be in Vienna. Um, Thomas and Michael is the other guy, Mudra. Um, Straight four with counter rotating shaft. Oh, even worse, bro. Oh god. The only engine I like more than the V twin. No, it's a fucking Formula One, dude. It sounds like a Jap bike. Straight four. They're fun. I get it. They're wicked. They're intoxicating. That sound is really fun. You're the fucking angry horn on that thing, But whatever, dude. So is every frickin' squid in the world on bikes that sound like meh, meh, meh. It's like, okay, dude, I get it, but I can't. Uh, it's a thing. No, I like the bah. I like a deep V twin, dude. Yeah, a straight four is even worse for me than a twin. A triple. A triple at least has some low grunt and mid range of a V twin, and then a high rev of a straight four. A straight four is a total high rev, 14,000 RPMs, whiny angry hornet. You know, and it's like, I get it, it's a great engine, I'm sure it's the thing that they want to race with or whatever, but it's just not my vibe, dude. I have a loaner preamp which has a phase inversion switch that has a heavy effect. Please explain what this does, why, and what to look for. Well, the phase inversion, okay, so it has a heavy effect. Use it wherever it sounds better. Typically, that is to correct for something else that inverts phase. Okay, so every stage of an amp or a preamp or whatever, it inverts phase between each stage. So if you have a single stage preamp, it's going to invert phase. Now you need, so if it's going to be a purist preamp, you need to switch the cables on your basic. When you throw that switch, you're taking the speaker cables and you're reversing them. That's exactly what you're doing. You're just reversing the speaker cables. And so putting this phase inverter switch on the preamp it makes it easier than reversing your speaker cables. But some preamp companies will be like, we do phase inversion, so you're going to need to switch your preamp, or I mean, to switch your speaker cables. It's just to get the phase right, because something will, if you have a phase inversion switch, it's to correct for an inverted phase upstream or downstream, wherever. You could put it out, and then the amp ends up putting it back. If it's amps are typically never single stage, anyways. But anyways, use it wherever it sounds best. That's the rule of thumb. Yep, same here. Thanks. Okay, you bet, buddy. Whatever, dude. Ride my Brutale, and then let me know what you think. I'm sure I'll love it, bro. I'm sure I'll love it, and I will definitely take you up on that. But all I'm saying, I'm not saying it's not great. I'm just saying it doesn't replace Ducati, which is what you said. You said it's the new Ducati. It's not the new Ducati to me. That is a it's a high end Jap bike, is what it is. It's a wicked high end Italian with a Jap bike engine, a straight an inline four, which is cool, dude. I mean, that's great. I rode a whatever, an R1 that was all Graves Racing, and it was the most intoxicating thing to drive. It was crazy, but I felt like a squid, and I totally drove like a squid. Like I went faster than I ever do on my Ducati, and didn't care if I got a ticket. It was the only bike I ever got on, was a leader bike with an inline four, or a straight four, which was an R1, where I got on the freeway with it, and it was so fun to ride fast that I was like, I'm gonna take whatever fucking ticket I get, and I'm gonna pin it around the perimeter around Atlanta. And I was going so fast that I just said, fuck it, I'm going around the whole perimeter, which normally takes an hour or something like that. I got around the perimeter in like half an hour. I came back and they were like, where did you go? And I was like, I went around the perimeter. They're like, no, you didn't. And I'm like, yeah. They're like, bullshit. There's no way you did it that fast. I'm like, dude, I was going like a $150. I didn't give a shit. It was so fun, and the sound was so intoxicating. So, but it's not a Ducati replacement, but it is fun and it is great. So, get it. So that's what I mean by it. I'm not saying it's not MV straightforward old F1. There you go. It does not feel like that bike. It's extremely high strung, feels incredibly connected, razor's edge, the way Ducati used to be, analog. Oh, okay. So I try it. High strung. Yeah, I'll bet it's high strung. Ducati is not coming back. No, it wouldn't. There's no way it would. There's no way it would. They're not, it's not the same people, and people, and the old Ducatis were not near as they were unruly, bro. They were vicious. They could bite you. You know, I mean, those old super bikes, dude. They were unforgiving. They didn't have traction control. They were gnarly, bro. They were extremely hard to ride. You know, Desmo Sedici, like that thing. You have to be a pro to drive the Desmo Sedici. Like you can't just jump on that thing and try and ride it, dude. You know, that thing is a bucking bronco. It's a freaking bull, bro. Um, so yeah, a twin is far more akin to the human heartbeat than a triple. I had a triple briefly, one and done on that, not a soul stir. Yeah, I mean, I had a Triumph at one point, a Sprint ST 1050, and it had a cool sound and it was fun. And again, I actually did have another one, a trophy, but that was because it was a big freaking touring bike, so that was kind of for something else. But yeah, yeah, I mean, the Duck is my thing. I used to max out my R1 on the German Autobahn 285. Ooh, yeah. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. Okay, I gotta go. 2 hours, you guys. I haven't given 2 hours and I don't know how long, but it's time for Mikey to go crawl into the fart sack and turn it in. So thanks everybody for joining. I will see you all next Wednesday. I may drop in between now and then, possibly for a surprise thing, but I'm gonna chill, and I will see you all next Wednesday for sure. If not, everybody have. Well, I will see you then. If I don't see you in between, then everybody have an awesome week, and I will see you later. Thanks for joining. See ya.